The singular defense. Captain Maya Chen stared at the holographic display dominating the war room beneath Geneva. 173 alien warships hung in formation at the edge of the solar system, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent blue-black sheen that seemed to drink in starlight. Each vessel dwarfed humanity's largest spacecraft by factors of 10 or more. Silent. Waiting. The Armada had arrived 3 days ago without warning. "Play the transmission again," ordered Admiral Takahashi, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. The central hologram shifted to show the alien commander, a tall, willowy figure with silvery skin that rippled like mercury and 6 eyes arranged in a crescent pattern. When it spoke, the translation software rendered its chittering sounds into a flat, emotionless voice. "People of Earth, we are the Voidborn Collective. We have observed your civilization and find it unworthy of the resources it squanders. Your technology is primitive. Your military presence in space is negligible. Your species is divided and inefficient. The Collective claims this star system by right of superior capability. You will surrender all territories beyond Earth's atmosphere. You will permit Voidborn mining operations on your moon and planets. You will accept Voidborn guidance in all matters of interstellar importance." The alien paused, its mercury skin rippling with new patterns. "You have 48 hours to accept these terms. Refusal will result in the cleansing of human presence from all space beyond your atmosphere. Resistance will result in orbital bombardment of your major population centers. This is not negotiable." Admiral Takahashi motioned for the recording to stop. They sent this to every major broadcaster and government simultaneously. No one could block it. They wanted everyone to panic. Maya nodded grimly. "And it's working. Riots in 23 major cities already. Religious gatherings everywhere. The stock markets have collapsed." The emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council had been in session for nearly 14 hours straight. Representatives from every major nation sat around the circular table, faces drawn with exhaustion and fear. "What options do we have?" asked President Alvarez of the North American Alliance, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "The orbital defense fleet has 43 combat-capable vessels. The largest isn't even a quarter the size of their smallest ship." General Wu of the Pan-Asian Coalition stood, pointing to various tactical displays. "Our conventional forces would be obliterated in minutes. Nuclear options are useless against their shielding technology based on our scans. They have us outgunned in every possible way." A tense silence filled the room. Maya felt the weight of hopelessness settling over the council members. Humanity had been exploring space for less than a century. They had established outposts on the Moon, Mars, and a few of the larger asteroids. Their technology was advanced by Earth standards, but apparently primitive compared to the Voidborn. Then, Director Kaido of the Global Science Directorate exchanged a long look with Admiral Takahashi. Something passed between them, a silent agreement. The Admiral nodded almost imperceptibly. "There is another option," Director Kaido said quietly. He pressed a sequence of commands into his secure tablet. The central hologram shifted to show a spacecraft unlike any that had been publicly revealed before. It was relatively small, about the size of a terrestrial aircraft carrier, with a sleek, almost predatory design. Its hull was a deep matte black that seemed to absorb light completely. "What is that?" demanded the Russian delegate. Admiral Takahashi stood. "This is the HS Defiant, and it is humanity's true first line of defense." President Alvarez frowned. "I've never seen this design. It's not part of any fleet inventory I've been briefed on." "Because it isn't part of the conventional fleet," Director Kaido explained. 23 years ago, a multinational scientific consortium discovered something extraordinary in the quantum fabric of our universe, something that changed our understanding of physics itself. He expanded the hologram, showing the internal systems of the ship. At its core pulsed a sphere of swirling energy. We call it the Phoenix Protocol. Instead of building hundreds of conventional warships that would still be technologically inferior to any advanced alien civilization, 17 nations pooled their most classified research and resources into developing a single revolutionary technology. Maya leaned forward, suddenly understanding why she, captain of an elite special forces unit with no naval experience, had been summoned to this meeting. Director Cato continued, "The Defiant doesn't fight like conventional ships. It manipulates the quantum structure of space-time itself. You're proposing we send one ship against an armada of 173. The Indian representative's voice was incredulous. Even with advanced technology, the odds are impossible. Not with this technology, Admiral Takahashi said firmly. The Phoenix Protocol allows the Defiant to rewrite the rules of combat. It can create localized gravity, wells thousands of times stronger than Earth's. It can generate quantum shields that disperse energy attacks. It can even briefly fold space for near-instantaneous repositioning." The room erupted in a mixture of disbelief, hope, and outrage. "Why weren't we informed of this project?" demanded several representatives simultaneously. "Absolute secrecy was essential," President Alvarez replied, and Maya realized the NAA leader had known all along. If word had gotten out, we might have faced this threat years ago, before the technology was ready. Admiral Takahashi fixed his gaze on Maya. "Captain Chen, you've been selected to command the Defiant." Maya felt her heart rate spike. "Sir, I'm not a naval officer. I command ground forces." "The Defiant doesn't need a naval commander," Director Cato interjected. "It needs someone who can make split-second tactical decisions under pressure, someone who understands combat psychology at a fundamental level. Your neural patterns were the closest matched to the Defiant's integrated command systems." Maya swallowed hard, suddenly understanding. "The ship, it interfaces directly with the commander." "Yes, a neural link that allows you to control the ship's systems with thought alone. Your tactical instincts become the ship's responses, faster than any manual control could achieve." As the implications sank in, the council continued its heated debate. Some argued for surrender, believing the Defiant to be a desperate last gamble. Others insisted they should at least try conventional forces first. But as the hours ticked by, the evidence mounted in favor of the Phoenix Protocol. 2 hours before the Voidborn deadline, President Chaves of the South American Federation stood and called for a vote. "We face extinction or subjugation," she said solemnly. "Our conventional forces would be sacrificed for nothing. I move that we authorize the deployment of the HSS Defiant as humanity's response to the Voidborn ultimatum." The vote was unanimous. 6 hours later, Maya stood in a sterile white chamber deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, being fitted with a specialized neural interface suit. The skin-tight garment contained millions of nano-receivers that would connect her nervous system directly to the Defiant's eye. Dr. Sato, the lead engineer for the neural interface, carefully fitted the final connections at the base of Maya's skull. "The integration may be disorienting at first," she warned. "The ship will feel like an extension of your body. Your thoughts will guide it, but the AI will handle the technical execution." "Will I still be me?" Maya asked, voicing her deepest fear. Dr. Sato's expression softened. "Yes, Captain. The interface augments your abilities. It doesn't replace your consciousness. You remain in command always." As Maya was escorted through the massive underwater facility, she glimpsed the Defiant through enormous reinforced windows. The ship hung suspended in a cradle of lights, its matte black surface seeming to create a void in the illuminated water. Unlike conventional spacecraft, it had no visible thrusters, weapons ports, or antenna arrays, just the smooth predatory shape and occasional geometric patterns etched into its surface. The boarding tube connected directly to the command deck, a circular chamber unlike any spacecraft control room Maya had seen before. Instead of banks of controls and screens, there was only a raised central platform surrounded by a holographic projection field. She was introduced to the small crew of 12 specialists, the minimum needed to maintain the ship's complex systems. The Defiant's AI would handle most functions, but human oversight was required for critical systems and ethical decision-making. "This is Athena," Dr. Seto said, gesturing to the holographic interface as it shimmered to life. The AI manifested as a shifting pattern of golden light rather than a humanoid form. "She's the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created, integrated with every system of the Defiant." "Hello, Captain Chin," Athena said, her voice warm and melodious. "I look forward to our partnership." Maya stepped onto the command platform and immediately felt the neural interface activate. Information flooded her consciousness: ship systems, power levels, structural integrity, weapon status. But it wasn't overwhelming as she'd feared. Instead, it felt natural, as if she'd always had access to this expanded awareness. "Neural integration complete," Athena announced. "All systems nominal. The Defiant is ready." Admiral Takahashi's voice came through the communication system. "Captain Chen, you are authorized to launch. Earth has sent our response to the Voidborn. We've informed them that we will demonstrate our answer with a single ship." Maya took a deep breath. "Understood, Admiral." What was their reaction? Amusement, followed by what our linguists interpret as contempt. "They're waiting for you at the edge of the system." The massive underwater hangar began to drain, water rushing from ports in the floor. As the chamber emptied, the Defiant's cradle rotated, positioning the ship for launch. "Athena, initiate launch sequence," Maya ordered, feeling the command flow from her mind to the ship's systems. "Launch sequence initiated," the AI confirmed. "Primary quantum core online. Gravitational field generators active." The hangar roof split open, revealing the night sky above the Pacific. Without flame or visible propulsion, the Defiant rose silently from the water, hovering momentarily above the waves before accelerating upward. Maya felt the acceleration not as physical pressure, but as data flowing through her neural connection. The Defiant was manipulating gravity itself, creating a pocket of altered space-time that carried the ship forward with impossible speed. Within minutes, they had cleared Earth's atmosphere. Within an hour, they had passed the Moon's orbit. The Defiant moved unlike any spacecraft before it, not pushing against space, but rather pulling space toward it in a continuous controlled gravitational collapse. "We will reach the Voidborn fleet in 17 minutes, Athena informed her. Maya opened a channel to the crew. "This is Captain Chen. Everything we've trained for, everything humanity has secretly developed for the past 23 years, comes down to this moment. The Voidborn expect a primitive vessel they can destroy as an example before subjugating Earth. Instead, they're about to meet the pinnacle of human ingenuity." She paused, looking at the tactical display showing the massive Voidborn fleet waiting at the edge of the solar system. One ship against an armada. Impossible odds by conventional standards. But we don't fight by conventional standards anymore. Prepare for contact. The Defiant continued its silent approach, a single black arrow speeding toward an alien wall of steel and energy. On the edge of the solar system, humanity's future would be decided by the most audacious gamble in its history. Quantum strike. The Voidborn fleet hung like a constellation of artificial stars against the black backdrop of space, their massive ships arranged in a precise defensive formation. At the center floated their flagship, a behemoth nearly 5 miles long with sweeping, blade-like projections extending from its central mass. As the Defiant approached, Maya received an incoming transmission. Through her neural link, she felt Athena analyzing the signal, stripping it of any potential cyber warfare elements before allowing it through. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the same six-eyed Voidborn commander. Its mercury skin rippled with patterns that the translation software interpreted as amusement. "Human vessel," it said, "you approach alone. Our scans detect no conventional weapon systems on your craft. Is this a suicide mission or an attempt at diplomacy?" Maya stood tall on the command platform, allowing the transmission to capture her image. "Neither. This is a demonstration." "A demonstration of what?" Our scans show your vessel is smaller than even our scout ships. Size isn't everything, Maya replied calmly. And your scans aren't as comprehensive as you believe. She cut the transmission with a thought. Through the neural link, she communicated directly with Athena. Target the smallest vessel on their perimeter. Minimal power demonstration only. Parameters set, Athena responded in her mind. Quantum field generators aligned. Ready on your command. Maya focused her attention on a void-borne scout ship approximately half a mile long. In her expanded awareness, she could sense the Defiance systems responding to her intent. The quantum core at the ship's heart pulsed with energy as gravitational field generators oriented toward the target. Execute, she ordered aloud, for the benefit of the human crew. The space between the Defiant and the target scout ship seemed to ripple, as though reality itself was being folded. A focused gravity well formed around the alien vessel, not enough to crush it, but sufficient to disrupt its positioning thrusters and shield generators. The scout ship lurched violently, its sleek form suddenly tumbling out of formation. Alerts flashed through Maya's neural link as Athena tracked the panicked communications between voidborne vessels. They're confused, Lieutenant Kagawa reported from the sensor station. Their internal systems are registering a massive gravitational anomaly they can't explain. Maya nodded. Now let's show them what happens when we don't hold back. She selected a small asteroid floating nearby, about 100 meters in diameter. Again, the quantum fields activated, but this time at full power. The asteroid began to compress, its surface crumpling as though being squeezed by an invisible hand. Within seconds, the massive rock had been crushed to the size of a small car, its matter compressed to near neutron star density. The voidborne ships immediately began to adjust their formation, spreading out to create distance between vessels. They're adapting quickly, Maya noted. As expected, the transmission system chimed again. Maya allowed it through. The voidborne commander's mercury skin now rippled with patterns that suggested alarm. What technology is this? Our scans detected no weapons discharge. Because we didn't fire a weapon, Maya replied. We merely adjusted the fabric of space-time, something your species clearly hasn't mastered yet. For the first time, the alien seemed uncertain. This is impossible for your level of technological development. Maya allowed herself a small smile. That's the problem with arrogance. It blinds you to possibilities. Before the commander could respond, Maya cut the transmission again. Athena, Combat Protocol Alpha. Target the 3 nearest destroyer-class vessels. Combat Protocol Alpha engaged. The AI confirmed. Targeting solutions acquired. The Defiance quantum core surged with power. This time, Maya felt the ship extending multiple gravitational fields simultaneously, each precisely calibrated. Around 3 voidborne destroyers, space itself began to warp. Their shields flared brilliantly as they attempted to compensate for the sudden gravitational distortion, but the technology wasn't designed to counter such a fundamental manipulation of physics. One by one, their shield generators overloaded and failed. Immediately, secondary gravitational pulses struck the now vulnerable ships, not to destroy them but to disable their propulsion and weapon systems. The massive vessels drifted helplessly, internal lights flickering as their power networks struggled to compensate. The voidborne fleet erupted into action, dozens of ships accelerating toward the Defiant with weapons charging. Multiple energy weapon signatures detected, called out Lieutenant Kagawa. Impact in 5 seconds. Maya didn't need the warning. She could feel the approaching threat through her neural link. With a thought, she activated the Defiant's quantum shields. Energy beams lanced out from 20 voidborne vessels simultaneously, converging on the Defiant's position. They struck the invisible barrier of altered space-time surrounding the human ship and simply vanished. The quantum shield didn't block or absorb the energy. It redirected it through a momentary fold in space, effectively sending the attacks into a pocket dimension where they could harm nothing. As the battle unfolded, Maya's mind flashed back to her training. to the first time Dr. Cato had explained the Phoenix Protocol to her 6 months earlier. Conventional warfare operates within the established laws of physics, he had told her. But what we've discovered is that those laws are more flexible than anyone imagined. The Phoenix Protocol doesn't break the rules. It rewrites them temporarily within a localized field. The memory faded as Maya returned her full attention to the battle. The Voidborn were adapting their tactics, spreading their fleet into a three-dimensional sphere around the Defiant, likely hoping to attack from all directions simultaneously. They still think conventionally, Maya realized. Athena, prepare for spacefold jump. Calculate optimal position inside their formation, near their flagship. Calculating, Athena replied. Quantum capacitors charging. Spacefold coordinates locked. This would be the most energy-intensive maneuver, one they couldn't perform too often without depleting the quantum core. The Defiant systems hummed as power redirected to the spacefold generators. Brace for fold jump, Maya announced to the crew. 3, 2, 1. Reality blinked. There was no sensation of movement, simply a momentary discontinuity as the Defiant disappeared from its position and reappeared instantly inside the Voidborn formation, less than a kilometer from their flagship. The confusion in the alien fleet was immediate and total. Ships that had been orienting to fire on the Defiant's previous position now found themselves potentially targeting their own vessels. Now for the real demonstration, Maya thought grimly. She directed the Defiant's quantum fields toward the flagship, but differently than before. Instead of creating crushing gravity, she instructed Athena to generate a precise pattern of alternating gravitational waves, expanding and contracting in rapid sequence. The effect on the massive flagship was dramatic. The gravitational oscillation created structural resonance throughout the vessel, not enough to tear it apart, but sufficient to disable weapon systems and cause widespread internal damage. Alarms blared through Maya's neural link as the Defiant sensors detected the flagship's massive power core destabilizing. Their main power system is approaching critical failure, Lieutenant Kagoa reported urgently. If it goes, it could take out half their fleet in the explosion. Maya made an instant decision. Athena, stabilization field on their power core. Contain, don't destroy. Implementing, the AI responded. Precise gravitational field applied. The Defiant projected a new gravitational pattern, this one designed to counter the instability in the alien power core. Gradually, the dangerous fluctuations subsided. For several tense minutes, no one moved. The Voidborn fleet held position, weapons ready but not firing. The Defiant hovered near the damaged flagship, still maintaining the stabilization field that prevented a catastrophic explosion. Finally, the communication system chimed again. Maya allowed the transmission through. The Voidborn commander appeared, but its demeanor had changed completely. The mercury skin now rippled with patterns that the translation software interpreted as a mixture of fear and respect. How? It asked simply. How did your species develop this technology without our knowledge? Because you underestimated us, Maya replied. You saw our public space presence and assumed it represented the extent of our capabilities. You never considered that we might choose to develop quality over quantity. The alien was silent for a moment, its 6 eyes blinking in an asynchronous pattern. You could have destroyed our flagship, our entire command structure. Why didn't you? Because unlike you, we don't begin relationships with threats and demands, Maya said firmly. We're stabilizing your power core right now, preventing what would be a catastrophic chain reaction. We could maintain this standoff indefinitely, or we could talk about a different kind of first contact between our civilizations. Another long silence followed. Maya could sense the Voidborn commander communicating with others off-screen, probably receiving new instructions. We misjudged your species, it finally admitted. The collective's assessment protocols will be revised. We withdraw our previous demands and request formal diplomatic engagement. Maya nodded solemnly. We accept. Return to the edge of our system with your fleet. We'll send representatives to meet you there. And understand this, Earth comes to the table as equals, not as subjects. Understood. The commander agreed, its skin patterns shifting to what might have been acquiescence. We will await your diplomats. As the transmission ended, the tension on the Defiant's command deck finally broke. Several crew members let out the breaths they'd been holding. Lieutenant Kagoa looked up from his console with amazement. They're actually withdrawing, he confirmed. The entire fleet is repositioning to the coordinates you specified. Maya stepped down from the command platform, the neural link automatically reducing its information flow as she did so. For the first time in hours, she felt the boundaries of her own body clearly again. Send word to Earth, she ordered. Tell them the Phoenix Protocol worked exactly as designed. As the Defiant began its journey back to Earth, Maya reflected on what they had accomplished. Not just a military victory, but a fundamental shift in humanity's place in the cosmos. With a single ship, they had demonstrated that humans were not to be underestimated, that ingenuity could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. 3 months later, Maya stood in the new Interstellar Diplomatic Center in Geneva, watching as human representatives signed the first formal treaty with the Voidborn Collective. The terms were equitable, establishing boundaries, trade agreements, and cultural exchange protocols. Admiral Takahashi joined her by the window overlooking Lake Geneva. The Voidborn ambassador told me something interesting yesterday, he said quietly. Apparently, we're the only species they've encountered who focused on developing a single revolutionary technology, rather than a conventional fleet. Maya nodded. They couldn't comprehend why we put all our resources into one basket. And yet that's the most human approach possible, Takahashi mused. When backed into a corner, we don't just fight harder. We change the rules of the game entirely. Outside the window, the first Voidborn civilian ship was landing at the newly constructed spaceport, the beginning of regular contact between the species. And in orbit above Earth, construction had begun on a new generation of vessels incorporating the Phoenix Protocol, ensuring that humanity would never again be seen as an easy target by any spacefaring civilization. One ship had been enough to change everything, not through superior firepower, but through the uniquely human combination of secrecy, ingenuity, and the willingness to stake everything on a revolutionary idea. The universe, Maya realized, would never look at humanity the same way again.